Hello and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abbie Ritchie. I'm the founder and CEO of Senior Savvy, and you can find me right here every Tuesday interviewing people who are engaged in senior living and engaged in finding technology that's going to make your residents' life and your staff's life so much easier. Before I bring on our guests, I want to go ahead and run the intro. Okay, welcome back. I want to bring on my two guests today. And while they get ready and get settled and join us, I wanted to let you know I have wanted to have a conversation like this for a long time. Because while I know that senior living operators are watching and they're tuning in, they're asking questions, I really want to talk about the resident experience as it relates to technology. So my guests today, I'm going to bring on Patricia Jacobs. She is the National Director of Catalyst at Juniper Communities. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Abbie. So glad to be here. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And our other guest is Ken Grishak. Ken, did I say that the right way?
You said it great. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I'm just going to call you Ken from here on out. So Ken is the Director of Fund Development and Life Enrichment at Fellowship Village, Kalamazoo, which I gotta tell you, I meet with his residents every week and I love them. They are the best people. So I'm thrilled to have you here, both of you here today to talk about technology. Patricia, let's start with you. Tell us about what you do as the Director of Catalyst at Juniper.
Yeah. Yep. So the Catalyst initiative at Juniper is another innovative signature program from Juniper under the leadership of Lynn Katzman, who's an amazing CEO, you probably know. And the goal of Catalyst is to help move senior living experience to another level and get ready for the seniors that are coming our way, and potentially to get ready to serve seniors who don't even live in our buildings.
Yeah, there's a whole new type of senior that's moving in. They come with anywhere from like 12 devices, right? They're highly connected. They're tech savvy individuals, and we need to be ready to embrace them and serve them.
Exactly. I had someone one time say, "Why should I move from my smart home into a dumb apartment?" So to your point, we need to be ahead of that curve for them.
Right. And Ken, as the Director of Fund Development and Life Enrichment, how do you see the resident experience as it relates to technology today?
Well, it's really about connection and socialization, right? And we have multiple generations of older adults, so we have people who are very much in tune and wanting to engage the technology. And like you said, have already entered into the community with 5 or 6 different technologies that they're using. And then we also have some that are, not so far along that continuum. And for us, we're really working to try to engage people both in that visual format and in that voice controlled format. So, we've been very purposeful and intentional on really ensuring that what we're able to offer is also a voice integration system for those types of people.
I love it. I'm constantly pushing this with my clients. I'm constantly trying to get them ready to use voice activated technology, because as we age, we lose our eyesight and it's harder to see what's on the screen. We lose dexterity in our fingers. And so the more that they can engage and adopt with voice activation today, the better that's going to serve them in the years to come. And that leads me to the next thing I wanted to ask you about, Patricia, is the use of an an Echo show or an Alexa show in your communities and how you're implementing that?
Right. Well, to echo what Ken said, pun intended, I guess,
Mhm.
we are very excited about voice first technology in the communities for several reasons. One, of course, is rolling out the devices has dramatically engaged our residents in a different way. Within our first 10 days of beginning to roll out devices in the communities, in our first 5 communities, we had 5,000 dialogues.
Oh my gosh.
And by the end of the first 5 weeks, we had 33,000 dialogues happening in only 9 communities. So there's such an acceptance of the technology that's among residents. That's the first thing that's amazing. The other thing that's incredible, though, are the staff efficiencies that we're beginning to see through the use of voice.
Oh, I love that. Let's talk about that because one of our biggest issues in senior living is workforce, right? And staffing. So, what is built into what you're doing right now that's aiding that area?
So, to begin with, getting community information is something residents always want, right?
Right.
Menus or activities, that kind of thing. And the
Did the
basic
mail come? Is the mail,
right.
right?
It's mail here.
Right.
What day is it? What time is it? That sort of thing. So that saves a lot of communication back and forth. But we're also finding 2 other things that voice does that are wonderful. One is we can send an announcement to a resident room to just one resident. Your daughter's here at the front desk. To a group of residents, it's time for play practice. To all residents, the therapy dogs are in the library if anybody wants to see them today. And we can also individually set reminders for residents. So for an aide working with a whole group of residents, they can go from room to room in the morning. As they're getting people ready, they can set reminders.
I
And
love this.
yeah,
Yeah, I love this. So I was just teaching a class at the communities about what can Alexa do, and so one of the features that I was speaking on was that drop-in feature. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned how effective that can be to save your staff. And now that you're saying it and you're giving all these examples, it's really putting more body to a type of feature that I hadn't really considered before. So thank you.
sure.
And Ken, let's talk about your community. I know that you are using Echo a dot, right?
Yeah, true, Abbie. Yeah, we're using the dots and we're integrating now to the shows as well. But primarily, we put a dot in every apartment, and then people can access menus, activities, events, announcements, all of that just through using their voice. Which I think one of the things that I don't know that we really fully anticipated when we first launched the program, but our low vision residents are particularly enamored of the system, right? Because they no longer need the assistance of someone to read something to them or that type of reliance, and they can just simply say magic word. What's on the announcements today, what's on the menu, and I have to say magic word because I have one in my office, and we don't need to wake her up right now.
Right. She's standing by, right?
She's standing by. She's always ready to help.
Great. Yeah, when you're talking about the low vision residents that you have, I know that they're there. I know that they struggle with remaining connected. I know that they want to have a better idea of what's happening in their community. And so being able to ask by using their voice is huge. I want to know from you, okay, a couple things from both of you. How do you educate residents on tech adoption in your community?
Well, I'll jump in real fast first. I mean, we hold weekly classes, and of course, a lot of it is really just kind of one-on-one, Abbie, where people have a very specific question and they'll come into the life enrichment team and look for a very specific answer to that very specific question. But when we rolled out the program, we really kind of identified 20 or 30 early adopters that we knew could readily, use the technology. And then from there, they became more of our ambassadors and coaches and trainers with other residents, over the dinner table as much as anything else. So it's an ongoing thing. We're always getting new residents moving in, obviously, and helping people acquaint themselves to all the different aspects of our technology.
So,
yeah, go ahead, Patricia. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I was just going to say from our side, we started launching the devices in communities with really lovely parties. We invited residents to a big event. We had the Alexa device set up and running and ready to go. We had some fun things that we asked it. We made it very accessible. We all practiced saying the magic word together. And we had a great time. And we actually have rolled out Alexa in many communities that are assisted living and memory care only. So we do have, and it's shocking how quickly a core of really great enthusiastic residents have developed in every community, regardless of the level of care, and how excited they are about sharing it with each other. I'll tell you a very quick story. We had rolled out the devices in one community, and we were giving residents the choice to have the device or not have the device, the Echo Show. And we had a resident who flatly refused. I don't want that in my apartment. No, thank you. And right. So we were there for the day doing, installing the devices. And then late in the day, as we were packing up, a group of residents were playing cards. I stopped by the table just briefly. How are you doing? How's it going? And one of the residents said, "Is it too late for me to get one of those Alexa things?" And I said, "No, did you not get one earlier? I think we've done all the rooms." And she said, "I told you no. But now I've been sitting here talking with my friends and how much they're excited about it and how much they like it. And now I want one of my own."
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I think that when you have a resident that can champion your technology and your initiatives, it makes all the difference in the world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you why you went from, say, you went from a dot to a show and how that decision came about.
Yeah, well, I think for us, the show gives a visual aspect to the whole dot experience. So when they ask for the menu or they ask for the announcements, not only are they hearing it, they're also actually, they're able to read it. And for some, they find that to be, a nicety. Now we're being selective with this. Not everybody wants the show. Some people are happy with the dot. That's what fits in their apartment better than a show. So it's definitely an option on their part, but we provide it. This is not, something that's an expense to the residents. Now, we provide the first one, but many of them will opt for a second one or a third one, depending upon the size of their apartments, because they kind of want to have that close connection. Because one of the things these things also provide is some sense of security, in the sense that if they do have a concern, they can very easily call the front desk. They can very easily call home health. They can easily call for any type of assistance they might need just by using their voice in the room. And I find that was one of the easier ways to get people to engage and grow comfortable with the technology in their apartments too.
Sure. Yeah. And we love the show also. We did a pilot with dots a few years ago, but in doing the full rollout, we're using the show because the screen is a reinforcer. It also allows video calling with family, and we are programming the shows to call family members with just names, so just first names. So we do feel like that's an advantage. It will also allow us to post things on the screen so that it also becomes kind of like a very small digital sign in the resident's apartment.
I love it. I love it. So one thing I've noticed when I'm talking to your residents is that they're frustrated because they can't add things to it that they want. Now, I know why, and you know why, because you need it to be regulated to a certain degree. So, but that often requires them to get an additional device that they can add skills to. Is there a way within your community to, have certain skills and not have certain skills?
So yeah, so that is, that's an interesting point that you bring up, Abbie, because it is true, because the system is that we're using is kind of a self-contained private system. It's not really linked to the big outside world. So they can't attach their private information to our individual dots at this point. So their personal contact list, they can't make purchases through it, all of this type of stuff, which on one hand is a comfort to them because they're not exposing themselves to something that they worry about, that even if it's not really a thing there. But we're gaining more and more skills as we go along. We're working with Amazon for hospitality to increase the the choices that we have that we can offer. So I'm fully expectant. Like, we've been at this now since 2019. It has grown exponentially every year in terms of the options and the choices that we're able to offer. I just see this as a growing market for senior living and older adult service. So, I just, this is just where the industry is going. And I just, this is going to be it is a good thing, and it's going to be a better thing even as we move down the road.
Patricia, would you go ahead and answer the question about adding the skills or not adding the skills? And then after that, I do want to talk about where it's heading down the road, because I'm always interested in that piece as well.
Sure. So like Ken, we do have software that limits what the resident can do with the device. And for most of our residents, I would say there's a balance, but that they actually appreciate the privacy and the security more than they miss the other skills. Most residents really have no idea what an Alexa device can do. So there isn't a tremendous loss. We have a handful of residents that already had a device. So the device that we have rolled out with a different magic word. So they can have both in the same apartment, and they can still use their other device to do the things that they wanted to do. So it's not either or, it's both and.
I'm kind of laughing because I can envision it being like my mom saying one of my siblings' names and not remembering, just running through all three of them, right? Because she's just trying to cover all the bases, right? Kim, Abbie, Todd, right? And like I could kind of see this also happening with those two devices side by side, or for different purposes, for sure. So.
Right. But most of the skills that they use on a regular basis are really pretty available. They can bring up their local news stations. They can tune in to the radio station of their favorite hometown, even if it's across the country. They can listen, like I said, they can listen to the news. They can listen to podcasts. There is a lot that they can do, even within the environment of our kind of contained world. And I echo Patricia's point. It gives them a sense of security when they're able to do that, but at the same time, they're able to isolate themselves from some, exposure of some of their personal information.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Where do you see this heading in the future? What are you looking forward to integrating either into this piece of technology or something else?
I think we are very excited about the ability over time to segment our services and be more a la carte, and allowing residents to ask for things they need or things they want in their apartment, and then be able to actually track the billing for that through the device as well. That's going to require software development, and we know that, but we do think that will be a way that things can go down the road. again, with the addition of a lot of fun things like playing games with Alexa, books on tape, many other kinds of entertainment options that are literally right around the corner for us.
Great. And how about you, Ken?
Yeah, a lot of that same type of stuff. It's this fine line, right? Because we want to empower their connectivity in their apartments, but at the same time, we don't want them to stay in their apartments, right? Because socialization is what we're about. That's one of the big things that they gain. So it's for me, I'm going to be really, really happy if we just really achieve that initial goal of having them be really, really well informed as quickly as they possibly can be, so that they can make some really good participation choices, and really fully live their best lives, right? That's what this technology is really trying to do. And one of the aspects that I like about it is that they're getting more familiar with it, and they're able to maintain better connections with their families, with their grands and their great grands and their kids, because now they're playing on an equal footing with this technology and being able to use it and engage with it, on the voice side and also on the visual side, the tablet side, the computer side. It's like they're learning another language at 85 or 90 years old, and they're able to do it, and they're gaining a richer experience through this technology. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. And I think it's working, and I think it's going to just continue to work more and more, Abbie.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when I'm teaching your residents, they are always telling me, thank you for teaching us what we didn't know. They don't know what they need to know. And so one thing I always do is I always just go back to the basics, right? Because what I found is when you focus on the basics, they build confidence and they're empowered to continue to learn. And I've had so many students say this to me over the years, that now that they know how to do the basics, they can continue to learn independently. And so I'm thrilled to hear, like Patricia, about the education that you're doing at your communities, so that people know what's available to them, because a lot of times they don't know. And then also hear that they have that, the residents are helping each other. So, but I want to talk about something else right now. I want to talk about technology that you hoped would have worked, but didn't. You hoped would have worked, but didn't. Does anything come to mind for you?
Well, I will tell you, in 2016, I opened a community that was supposed to be high tech and high touch, not for Juniper, for another senior living enterprise, and it was supposed to be entirely paperless.
All right.
So anybody who has ever worked in senior living knows that it can't. We're nowhere near paperless.
Right.
We certainly weren't in 2016.
It's a great aspiration.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say, that the idea of having apps or using voice is going to be hybrid technology for us for quite some time, along with more traditional technology like digital signage or paper. And that what we really need to be ready for is the range of what residents are looking for.
Yeah. And I would add, Abbie, I think some of the stuff that probably doesn't work as reliably as we would like it to work is when we connect the devices to environmental controls, lights, heating, things of that sort, really trying to make the apartments be, kind of a truly smart apartment like they have in their home. And, the unfortunate thing about any of this technology, and we deal with it in our own homes, is that 98% of the time it works. And then 2% of the time it won't work. Yeah. And we're able to troubleshoot most of the time in our own homes to reconnect something or to make something work. And for some of our older adults, that troubleshooting skill is just not quite there yet. Yeah. Right. And so they lose a little confidence in the technology when it doesn't work 100% of the time for some of these things. Yeah. So that's, that's just a reality of this technology. And then it creates this trickle down of sometimes we then have to rebuild up some confidence with our older adult on this stuff too. But, I don't see that as a real large hump in the road, right? I mean, it is getting better, but that's a reality that we face.
Absolutely is. And, tech happens, right? It happens to me while I'm teaching. There's problems with Zoom. There's problems with PowerPoint. There's problems, it happens. And so I'm, as an instructor, very transparent. Like, yes, this happens to me too sometimes. I'm not immune to it. And they're always like, what a relief to know you too have tech issues, because it's gonna happen, right? Like, you can anticipate that it's going to happen, but you can also plan for it not to set you back. Yeah. So tell me, anything else you want to talk about? Smart plugs, sensors, robots. What else can you look towards right now?
Well, I can tell you that we've introduced our first robot in our culinary program.
Ooh.
Which is just fascinating as all get out. This thing, it's called Servi. They've programmed it to basically bus tables. And it just kind of beep, 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 kind of moves around all the different furniture, can see. It's just fascinating stuff to see this technology, kind of, get entered into a whole new realm. And the residents just love it, right? I mean, they just think this thing is the coolest thing in the world. And now it's almost like it's background, like you don't even notice it. It's just kind of doing its thing.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. How about you, Patricia?
We're very excited about connected fitness and exercise equipment, so that in addition to tracking attendance in classes, we can also begin to see how folks are using fitness equipment and strength training. We think there's a really great growing area of knowledge we can gain there when coupled with medical records to really teach us how we might want to direct people and recommend, and what we can learn from that. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and I think to that point, Abbie, you were talking about what the future may hold. I can see a world where, we're wearing an RFD wearable. I think that's what they're called. And it can kind of like, to your point, Patricia, when you walk into the fitness center, it will know that you're walking into the fitness center and provide us that information of someone, where they're at and what they're doing and how they're engaging with us, which will help us help them live their best lives. So, I think that technology is coming where as you walk up to your apartment door, it unlocks automatically, much like your car. And as you walk away from your apartment door, it locks automatically. I think that stuff's probably already there. We haven't introduced it yet, but I'm sure that there's some communities out there that probably have or know about it. That's kind of what I see coming on the horizon.
Yeah, I think we are most excited about the vision that we have is the technology becomes invisible.
Right.
We're teaching residents how to use tablets and things like that now. We're moving to voice and adding that in, and then wearables and badges that read door locks or, other devices, so that the focus is not on the technology. It's on having a wonderful day.
Yeah, and along those same lines, one piece of technology I've been so impressed with is a smart walker. And it's like nothing I've seen before. And so what it does is it's tracking your metrics, your gait, your steadiness, the amount of time you can walk. And it will also give you a little boost if you're going uphill, and it has automatic brakes and folds down so you could tuck it underneath your seat or be in a narrow mode if you're like going down an airplane aisle, for instance. So I love to see this, because to me, it means more people moving, right? And getting the exercise and taking the walk with a little bit of assistance, plus all of those metrics are going to your physical therapist, for instance. So I love that. That's something I'm excited about. And well, I just want to ask you if anyone here today wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Patricia?
So, email is really good, but feel free to call my cell number. It's there on the phone, on the screen, and I'm happy to chat.
Yeah, wonderful. And how about you, Ken?
Yep. Email certainly is right there, and happy to chat with people and answer any questions and kind of go over how we're implementing it here.
Awesome. And for any of the people who are participating with us today, thank you. We love your comments. We are going to be pushing out a broadcast of this, and I'll send out another one tomorrow in case you happen to miss it. Ken, Patricia, thank you so much for joining me today. Ken, please give your wonderful residents a big hug for me.
I will, Abbie. They love you to
And
pieces.
I'll see them all tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you back here next week on Tech Tuesday.
Thank you.